right, hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Life Unboxed, the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for always watching our videos, liking and commenting. We appreciate all your efforts and please don't stop supporting us. Well, as you can see today, we have a new guest with us, and yeah, you can introduce yourself, please.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Prosper.
Hi, Prosper.
Hello,
Okay.
Prosper.
Okay. So, am I supposed to say anything else?
Yeah, of course, we
Well,
want
you
to
can
know
tell us a
you.
little about yourself, where you're from, what
Okay.
you do, da da da.
Yes. My name is Prosper. I'm from Nigeria,
Oh,
of course.
our Nigerian brother.
So, I trained as a pharmacist in Nigeria, and I moved to Sweden, October 2022, where I'm pursuing a PhD now. So,
Where you
That's-
pursuing the PhD?
yes, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I guess
But
that's
can I ask you, is that where the money is? The PhD?
the money. Oh, I mean, if you want to do a PhD, money should not be one of your motivations. To be
Okay.
honest,
Okay.
if you are passionate about knowledge, if you're passionate about academics, maybe, and if you're curious, you want to discover things,
Okay.
then PhD is probably a natural way to do it. Yeah,
Nice.
and if you want to become like a professional, an authority in your field, having a PhD does add credibility. So it's a long venture, but perhaps it's worth it in the end. We'll find out.
Now, if you could, we bring come to
We'll be learning to brain. Like our brain will be
the
open like
professor
this.
will bring come to
I didn't tell you.
Yeah,
I didn't
Prosper,
tell-
it's good to have you. Thank you.
It's my
for-
pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Thank
my
you for
pleasure.
honoring our invite. We are glad to have you.
It's my first time being on the podcast this year. I want to try
I
new
was even
things.
surprised when he said he wanted to chum like.
Yeah, you were trying new things, so just wanted to see if I look good on camera and see. I'm joking, but it's nice. I've been following this
But
podcast
are
for
you
a
a little
while.
bit nervous?
Am I? Do I appear nervous?
No.
No.
Okay, maybe I'm a natural then.
Yeah, it looks like you're in charge. Yeah, so yeah. Today we would like to get to know you more. You
Okay.
have said that you're pursuing your PhD right now.
Mm.
But how would you say the transitioning has been for you, for someone who has studied in Nigeria, and compared to how it is here in Sweden?
Okay, so I left Nigeria in October 1st, 2020. So this is my 3 years plus living abroad.
Yeah.
And before I moved to Sweden, I studied in France for my master's.
So like you jump my pair, all those.
My French is sadly not good, but
But
Yeah.
what can you say in French? Just a little.
je parle français
Look
un
at you.
petit peu. Don't worry, it's not
Look
that.
at
But yeah, but
you.
I
It's
think
fine.
no, but my French is really not good. I wasn't paying a lot of attention in French classes.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, so but I lived in France for a bit, like for a year and a half, and I've lived in other countries where I did like semester exchanges because I was an Erasmus student, and then I moved here 2022.
Okay.
So you asked the question about transition
Yeah.
in Sweden or in Europe in general.
I think we should start from the
Um,
beginning, right?
Yeah, since you've mentioned France now,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I think it would be good to.
I mean, initially it was a very it takes a while to adjust to a new environment, and of course we are all from Nigeria. There's the three of us on this podcast now. We are from Nigeria, so it takes quite a bit of a time and your physical and emotional energy to make that shift. Yeah, but I would say I did have a challenging time adjusting to the culture in Europe, and I miss my family so much. I miss my friends from home, so I was always speaking to them on the phone, and they were like a big support. But at some point you have to have this adaptability. Have to be agile if you want to, especially as immigrants. If you're immigrants, I don't like that word very much, but
We'll
but-
get back to that. We'll get back to
okay.
that.
So, but the truth is the truth. I mean, if that is what we are, then I guess. So, as someone that's left their country to come to a new place, you have to be quick on your feet. This is what I think. You have to be quick on your feet, and you have to adapt to the surroundings. It's not easy, but it can be done. And for you to do, I mean, I think for me to do that, I had to have an open mind. And yeah, here I will not say I have completely adjusted to living outside of my country, but it has gotten a little bit easier with time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would you say like your experience in France and Sweden, like want to know like some comparisons, the difference?
I'm not going to say something that will put me in trouble.
No,
on-
no, of course.
You
But,
know,
like, what you can tell us, the ones that you're permitted to say.
Yeah, if I'm going to compare the two countries, I think I prefer Sweden now.
Oh.
Yeah, because of the language barrier. For example, because in France, for you to live in France, you must speak French.
Because I think not a lot of people speak English in France, right? It's not like they can't speak, but then they would rather speak the French. Yeah.
I mean, French people, of course, the official language is it's and you know, France is like one of those big countries, you know, that colonized a lot of other countries.
Yeah.
So they take a lot of pride in their language, and you can understand that. I mean, every country should take pride in their language, but I think the French takes it to a whole new level. So you would really have, I would say, a tough time living in France if you couldn't speak any French. So if you plan to move to France, you should really take French seriously. Or if you plan to live in France, you must learn the language. I'm not saying it's not the same in Sweden, because I've only lived here for a year plus 4 months now. But I do not feel the pressure that I felt in France to learn a new language. In Sweden, the official language, like we all know, is Swedish, but you understand and you begin to see that a lot of people know English and they speak English. And because I'm doing a PhD, you know, like I said, so in the university, in the academic environment, it's English, of course, it's the language of writing and the language of discourse. So I don't have this barrier in the workplace. And yeah, but there's a little bit of a challenge in the social setting. But
In
that is
what
a different ball game altogether.
Oh.
So just to buttress, like you don't feel the pressure to learn Swedish. It will definitely make your life much easier if you know Swedish, and I'm gonna try and learn. But in France, it's very frustrating if you don't know any French.
At all.
Yes, because you cannot order anything in a restaurant. People will look at you different. I think, I mean, not to put everybody in the same box, but generally, you would notice a difference in the way people talk to you and the people act towards you if you come and you speak English to a French person. It doesn't matter where you're from. You can be from the United States of America. If you don't speak French, you would possibly get this rude, discourteous,
Yeah, I had
whatever.
this thing like even if you go to the restaurant, it's like everybody look at you like they can't speak it. That's the worst part. But they would not.
It's French. It's France.
Yeah, I think they take pride in their language.
But not to knock on the whole country though, but
Yeah.
of course Paris is beautiful. I lived in Paris for 6 months plus. It's a really amazing city, and French food is fantastic.
Is it the same way they portrayed it in Emily in Paris?
Yeah, I mean,
you
I
watched
think Emily in Paris is really, really close to.
Oh,
Yeah,
No,
it's
but why
not.
do people always? I don't like this. Paris is Dead Sea. So some people come and they just have this thing like Paris is Dead Sea. Some people are like Paris is, because some people say like if you go to this other side, I think maybe where the bougie people live and shop, like that kind of thing. They're like those places are very nice, but everybody, I don't know.
I think many big cities have their nice places and their not so nice places.
But it was
But
a tower.
in general, I do think Sweden is cleaner than France. Maybe you have to take out this part because it's
It's
too
fine.
controversial. But yeah, if I'm going to compare Stockholm and Paris, I feel like the environment is much cleaner in Stockholm than in
Okay.
Paris. And this is also one thing I like about Sweden. I feel like the environment is cleaner, the air is fresher. I feel there's so much nature around you, and I think the people here, the Swedish people, will take a lot of pride in keeping.
The cleanliness.
Yeah, and
with
this is something I
cycling,
admire so
you know?
much.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, but Swedish life can be a little bit boring, if I may say, in maybe when you compare to France, But
In
I
what
guess
sense?
everywhere has like its pros and cons. So Swedes are a little bit okay, introverted, kind of like
Yeah.
my style, but
It's the for Prosper is a bit introverted. For him to say, we say Swedish, I'm more introverted.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's to the extreme.
Yeah, there are levels to introvertedness.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did enjoy my time a little bit in France because of the friends that I met there. But I knew that I wasn't going to stay there. So this is why when I started applying for positions, I just applied to countries that speak a little bit more English because I wasn't prepared in my head to learn French.
Okay. So that was like the major factor.
That was like the deciding factor for me.
Yeah.
I would still love to learn French because I think it's a beautiful language.
I think so
But
too.
I just don't want to be under the
It's
pressure.
sexy.
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah.
So what would you like? For me, I want to know more of like, are you single?
Okay, that was like a very big jump from the first
Of course, I need
question
to like, you know why you use knife to cut off the head, like
Okay, so
get you off guard.
we will probably talk about this very quickly and then move on to another thing. Yes, I'm single.
Okay, like, are you like single?
Yes, single. First
Like,
four
there's
times.
no friends with benefits. So that it's not like
Okay, why
I
you
don't.
asking
I don't have to disclose all these things on the podcast.
Why are you asking this question?
The definition of single means that I'm not in any relationship.
No, like I need to know
Romantic
like, see,
relationship,
It's
right.
you see, you
Yeah.
can be single, but you're in friends with benefits kind of relationship.
I can just tell you that officially I'm not in a romantic
Officially,
relationship.
unofficially.
Is that by
go.
choice or by, I don't know?
Yeah.
This is a very good question. Is it by choice? I think this year, yes, it's by choice.
Why this year?
No, because I want to take a bit more time to work on myself more.
And evaluate things.
Yes, I just wanted to. I wanted to step back and assess the things more
Like
closely.
what's the
internally.
criteria? What criteria are we assessing?
This is becoming very personal.
What criteria are we assessing? Somebody all want to know. Like some people always feel like I'm good, and like I say, I have a problem with people who feel like they have this good. They be like, I'm a good person. Like you can never tell them anything that they are flawed.
People have flaws. If you're a
Some
human
people
being,
will never believe that.
if you're human, you definitely have flaws.
So that's the thing.
There's no
So is there a
debating.
criteria? Maybe somebody out there too that is feeling like I'm so good. Why is it that nobody loves me? So
No. Are you saying you're good?
I'm a good person.
Okay.
This is what I would say
Okay.
confidently. I try as much as possible, but I'm a good person. Like on the foundation. Yeah, this is what I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but
what's
am I
the-
flawed? Yes, I'm flawed, but
Okay.
I'm a good person. My intentions are mostly good most
Okay.
of the time.
Okay, so I would like to know like your idea, or would I say your opinion about dating in Europe and back in Nigeria. Like what's your like I want to know
you
Nigerian
tried the
women
dating
in
scene in
Sweden
Europe?
or African women in Sweden, African women in Africa. Like I want to get your views.
I just like how you went straight to the point.
You know me.
1 minute I'm talking about
Yeah, we will jump
Sweden
back
and
again.
Paris, and then another minute I'm talking about dating, but it's fine.
Uh-huh.
To answer your question, in all honesty, I think it's hard.
Okay.
I think it's challenging because, I mean, you've left your country where everyone looks like you. Most people have the same experiences like you, and it gives you a lot of things. You know, a lot of commonalities, and it is easier to date someone. I think that you have a lot of commonalities with that you know
that you can relate with.
you have that relate. You have shared experiences with, but now you were here and so you are in a minority group, and the majority of the country that you are living with have a different kind of culture, a different kind of experience, maybe even a different set of values. So there is a gap, and I think it's challenging to reach across to someone that is not from where you're from and make it work. I'm not saying it's impossible. Of course, people are doing it, like our sister
Well,
here.
have you experienced that personally?
Sorry?
Have you experienced that personally? I mean, have you tried a dating scene here? And
Have you
you've
tried to date
experienced
outside your
these things?
culture? What are the culture shocks? You know, things like
Have I tried to date outside my culture?
yeah.
Well, I can say that since I left Nigeria, I've not been in any relationship. And-
Benefits of good.
What did she say?
Oh,
I didn't
God.
hear.
Oh my God.
Benefits of good.
I
You
still
want to
did-
answer that?
no.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I
No.
interrupted you.
So, like, because when I moved, of course, my first focus was the reason why I moved. So I moved to study for my master's. And the nature of my master's, because I was in an international program and I had to move around a lot. I lived in 3-4 countries in the space of 1.5 years. So it was nothing. I was always in flux, so I didn't feel any kind of stability. And I still think it was the correct decision that starting anything serious would not make any sense, because I'm living here for 6 months. The next, I'm changing countries. So because I was very mobile, I'm like, any stable relationship, it's not a wise thing to do, in my own opinion. Okay, I knew people that started relationships, and some worked, some didn't work. But I don't like to take a lot of chances with my life. So this was the story for the first 2 years in Europe. And then I started a PhD in Sweden, which means that I get to stay in one place for a longer bit of time. And yes, this is when I started thinking about, maybe it's about time you explore, finding someone, sharing your life a little bit with that special someone. And I've had only 1 year to do this, and you can agree with me, 1 year is not a lot of time.
No, it's
especially if you're not living in your own country. It is. There are not a lot of Nigerians here. I don't know where to find them. That's, if I'm going to be very honest. And if you want to expand, of course, you should not limit dating to only your nation or your country. But okay, but if you want to expand it to like people that you have more things in common, you say maybe Africans in general. Still, I don't know, not a lot of African people that I've met. I'm not saying that I've not met, but in Sweden, like, there are not a lot of Africans living here. Maybe if you're living in the UK, it's a big Nigerian community there, and even larger African community. But in Sweden, maybe not a lot of people have learned about traveling to the Nordics. But what I'm trying to say is the numbers are little. So unless I will borrow a leaf from Ogoo here and start to do interracial relationships, which of course is not out of the question. I'm very much open to being with anybody as long as we have things in common and we like each other. So it has not happened yet.
Anambra boy that you Anambra, right?
Yes, I'm from Anambra State. But I'm an Anambra boy. But
as the Anambra boy that you are, you think your parents will agree?
When we get to that bridge, we'll cross the bridge.
That is how you used to say, get to that bridge. Like, you be telling
But
the girl, don't worry, get to that bridge.
Sorry?
The bridge you
is
reach
that
now,
thing
you be
with your
telling her you're
family, to
sorry.
them not agreeing to you marrying someone outside your culture?
I make my own decisions. It is my life, and everybody around me will have to adjust to it.
That's not the talk more. You reach that bridge now, you go enter voice note. I have to choose my family over. I'm just saying, like, it's just me.
I mean, when I get to that, I don't have that problem now. So I don't want to start solving a problem that does not exist.
You don't have.
Yeah,
That's
so
how you solve it.
I will not invent a problem myself and begin to solve it. But I don't have.
It's better you know the other stuff. You know that you can know. Like, I'm not saying you should invent. I'm just saying, like, if you know that, I have a parent I can never disobey. There's no need dragging a woman that you feel like they won't agree. Like, it's not a problem. But you like, before I decided to, like, my mother already knows me. That's why she was like, when you're listening, I do this, I do. But she knows me already, and I know what I can. I know that when it comes to true love, I finish disobeying her.
Okay.
So that's the thing, that people that will never disobey their parents because of that.
I'm a very obedient son.
So that's why I said, like, it's good that, like, let me take for instance, you might meet someone you love, but if your parents don't want the person, and you can never disobey your parents in that matter, then there's no even need starting it in the first place.
Okay, so I'm going to say something. I think my parents trust my decisions.
Okay.
Yeah, so far I've been able to show them that I'm a good son.
Okay.
So, and all the decisions I've made in my life have not been, they've not been very bad decisions. So, I mean, with evidence, they've seen he knows what he's doing.
Okay.
So I think they trust me to say, if I want to be with somebody, they should trust me to say he's been
that.
doing well so far. So why
Do you
not?
think they would be supportive of you marrying anyone?
I don't see any.
But I don't
Any
think
other
the
option?
issue here is about them trusting you or knowing that you've been good. I think it's more about your culture, where she's trying to come from. That maybe Anambra people, they are particular about
They are
the
like
tribe.
that. So that's my thing. Have you ever had this conversation with your parent?
My mom is very much open to it. I think she even encourages it.
Oh, okay.
that you marry with them.
Yeah, for her own reasons. One of them being that she wants to have mixed race children. She's just obsessed with them.
No, is it mixed race, or is she also, like, in Nigeria? Is she like? Is that about, like? There's some people, they're okay with, you can marry someone, someone from different race, But when it comes to like maybe Hausa or Yoruba or someone from Edo, they're like, no.
See,
So-
I don't know. Biases are always going to be biases. It's like I said, I don't like solving problems that I don't have.
Yeah,
So-
but still.
We are not going to invent questions and scenarios. I'm just going to be very practical
I'm just
about.
saying, in case
Yeah.
the love of your life eventually come, don't sha. If
When
you-
she comes, she can be from anywhere. If it works, it works.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we'll take that.
Finally.
I think we'll take that.
Mm.
Okay. Now I am going back.
Yes. Finally. We're done with the whole dating
Maybe
thing. Right?
we'll go back. Again.
Okay. So you talk about.
Maybe we'll go back. Again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think now with your PhD,
Yeah.
you happen to do more field work. Is it true?
I work in the lab.
Yeah, you work in the lab. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. Like
Mm.
not really classroom studies.
Yeah.
So you get to work with the company. Is it right?
Yeah. So I was fortunate to get the position that is more like an industrial PhD. So
Okay.
I mean, for people that are in science and technology, I mean, if you want to do a PhD, usually you're in an academic lab. So you're hired by a professor and you work in the professor's lab.
You're right.
Yeah, so my case is like this, of course. So I'm hired by a professor, but then because of the nature of the project that I took on,
Yeah.
it required that I have like a placement in the pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
So it's like two ways. So I'm in a company and I'm in the university,
Yeah.
and I think this experience has been life changing for me because I like academics, but also I think it is very worthwhile to see what's going on in the. I'm not going to say in the real world, but in the industry side of things, when you want to bring ideas into tools, into products. So it's one thing to do fancy stuff that works in the lab and write good papers, but it's another thing to make inventions or to make products that people will get to use and that actually solve people's problem.
Problems, yeah.
So they being in a company or having this industrial experience bridges that gap for me. So I want to do research that brings solutions that people are going to use someday. Yes, and it's like I said, it's a good balance for me, and I was fortunate to have this position, and it is nice, and I don't complain so much, even though the work is too much. Yeah.
But would you say like pharmaceutical jobs are like sought after? Like, is it like something that you would say you really encourage people to like
If
people
you
who are pharmacists back home?
Yeah.
Like, is it something like you encourage? Like, of course you can do it. Like, there are job opportunities. Like,
okay.
for me, that is in the business. Like, I have like business development as part of like work experience. But in Sweden, like, if you really want to succeed in that, you really need to know the language.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because but so that's what I'm like for like people like that want to like maybe they studied pharmacy back home and
Yeah.
like, is there really like is someone that into sales or something, like you'll be like you'll be lucky enough if you see the one that will employ you without you having the language.
Okay.
But like, is it something you encourage? Like, there's a job market for it in Sweden.
I think when you're a scientist or when you do science, I think in general you're going to speak English. You're going to write English.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, if you're moving to maybe a country where the official language is not English and you want to get a job, it definitely gives you an edge if you know the language, the native or the local language. But if you're gonna do research, like maybe do research in a company or in an academic lab, the working language is always gonna be English. So I think this is what gives us that little bit of an edge. So because I don't speak Swedish yet, but at some point, I don't know, when you look at the job requirements, you rarely see, because I look at job ads, you rarely see, okay, Swedish is a yeah. But if you're in France, when I was looking at job requirements in France and in Belgium and some of these big pharma companies, you see French is like a big requirement because you're going to be working with French people. Your colleagues are going to be French, and the official language, even in the office, is French.
So even like international companies.
So multinationals in France, yeah, I still think they have this requirement of being fluent in French, not even knowing French, being fluent in French. I've seen a couple of job ads that have this. But in Sweden, the multinationals don't place a lot of emphasis around knowing the Swedish language because, I mean, the place where I work, everybody speaks English, even though we are in Sweden, and there were lots of people that are also internationals from other parts of the world that don't know Swedish. But I think in science, which I do, if you have the brains for it, whatever that means, and
It is a job market for
no, it's also challenging. I mean, globally, I'm not sure, but I think globally there's
Sweden.
even Sweden, it's not really. It's. I'm just gonna say the job market is tough. Just to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so the jobs, when you see jobs openings, you're gonna have lots of competition. Crazy competition, and also if you're somebody that is not from Europe, for example, if you don't have like an EU citizenship or an EU residency, and then you require maybe visa sponsorship, it makes it even harder for you to get in. So these are the challenges, the bottlenecks, but nothing is impossible. So
you know why I asked? Because like, you know, people who like study like software, like if you study it and you even want to come to Sweden and study, like the job market is better for them. So that's what I'm asking. Is it like that? Like
for pharmacy,
is it like that for pharmacy?
I cannot think to the limit of what I know. I don't think I can compare pharma jobs to any IT jobs because I mean, look at the employers. I mean, in Sweden, how many pharma companies do we have in Sweden? There is AstraZeneca, which is like the biggest company here, but then there are like other companies, but when you compare it to IT firms, there are maybe even more of them, like maybe times 3 of them. So I mean, now everybody's saying data is a new oil. You have to know programming. Maybe it's easier to get jobs as an IT person, but in pharma, there are different kinds of jobs you can do in pharma. But if you're like a research scientist, it is also challenging. But I mean, if you have the fortune, if you're fortunate to get in, it's not impossible. So do the work and keep your fingers crossed. I don't know. That's the much I can say because I'm still in the process myself.
Okay. So now coming to the work,
Okay.
please. Now, do you work with a lot of other international talents?
I think we're mostly Swedish people, but they're also international people. But if I'm just going to put a number to it, just pull a number out of thin air, I would say 70-30 in favor of the Swedes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how would you describe your general work experience in this?
It has been very interesting. Kiitan, it has been very interesting. I can be honest here and say that I struggled, not because of the work, my project that I am comfortable with, because if you know science, I think. But then, the work culture, getting to talk to people, getting to be part of groups, getting to be part of teams and opening up and learning. There's not so much that you can do socially at work, but at least you should be able to come out of your shell, and show that you can talk to people and you can be a team player and all of this. It's a little bit challenging because you have to navigate it with wisdom. This is what I think, and I'm somebody that likes to just sit down and observe for a bit before I come out to play. And so the first year maybe I was doing a lot of observation, and hopefully this year I come out to play a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe. And then you have the Swedes who are like, really introverted, like you said.
Yeah. It's really hard to get into Swedish groups, if I can say this. So they have like very tightly close-knitted groups, and I'm not even sure. In my head, I think sometimes it's impossible, but nothing is impossible. But there are also some of them that are a bit more open, but you can find community everywhere because we all need community, especially people like us that have left our own countries and have moved here. And you notice that you thrive off community. You cannot be an island, even though you cherish your own personal time, like I do. If you have too much of it, you run the risk of being depressed. So you have to come out of your shell and play. And if you decide that you're going to live in Sweden or you're going to live somewhere that is not your country, you cannot live in isolation. This is what that big word that they throw around, integration, comes in. You have to be integrated whether you like it or not. And my own personal experience of this integration is that it's not easy, You don't just wake up one day and lose all your Nigerianness or your Africanness and become European or become Swede.
Right.
So there is challenges, you try, it doesn't work, you try. But I think for some people it comes naturally more than for others if you're a very people person. But the thing is also, you can also overdo it, if you're so much in your face with I don't know. I'm not going to say that I know Swedish people or how they behave, but I mean, from the little experience, I think if you're too forward, it's going to put them off a little bit. So just be you at the end of the day, and hopefully somebody likes you for being you. It's very cliche, but this is what you have to work with. You can't just wake up one morning and change your entire personality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We thank you for this wonderful, insightful work and social experience.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. It's been very brief. I wish we could go on a little bit
I
more.
We would love to
we
have
would
you
love
again
to have you
sometime
some other
soon.
time, because we can't talk, like, we can't discuss about everything.
There's a lot to talk
There's a lot to
about.
talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we hope to have you some other time, and we're going to book you and, like, send you an invite.
Again.
You have to
I will.
keep my appearance fee. Eh?
Of course.
I cost a lot of money.
No problem. Just send it to our account officer.
Okay. It's lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a nice evening.
Yeah. Cheers. Bye, guys.
This has been
Bye.
fun. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and tell your friends to subscribe. See you guys again soon.
Bye.
Bye.